What's going on YouTube? Glazed and Confused here with another deck profile. Today we're going to be looking at Bujins, which are a deck that mainly revolves around Xyz summoning and then protecting the Xyz summon monsters with effects from the hand and the grave. So let's start with 3 Bujin Yamato. Bujin Yamato is really the MVP of this deck. It allows you to set up your graveyard and your hand and basically get the game started. You really want to open with Yamato. That's why we play 3 Fire Formation Tenki, which we'll get into in a second. But 3 Yamato is an absolute must in a Bujin deck. Next, 3 Bujin Hirume, which is a monster that can be special summoned by banishing a Bujin monster from your graveyard. So it helps to swarm the field and set up your Xyz plays. And we also play 2 Bujin Mikazuchi, which is the insurance policy basically. If one of your Bujin Beast Warriors gets destroyed on the field, you can special summon your Mikazuchi. 2 Bujin Hiruko. This is the OCG exclusive Bujin. Bujin Hiruko is used to basically rank up, so to speak, your Bujins, except instead of ranking up, you're just swapping them out for another. So usually what I would do is make a Susanowo, and then I would use Hiruko's effect to go into an Amaterasu. If you already get the first effect, and then you can get Amaterasu's effect as well in the same turn. So Bujin Hiruko is basically a way for you to refresh your Xyz monsters and get a new one onto the field. Can't wait for this card to come to the TCG because I really feel like it'll change the dynamic of Bujin decks. This is more of a Xyz turbo variant where basically it's just focused on getting Xyz monsters out as quick as possible. And I really just made this deck to test out Hiruko, but I decided I wanted to upload it anyway because I thought it was very good. So I think Hiruko is a very good card, and I would recommend you play it at least 2. 3 Bujingi Turtle, because we know how often there are destruction effects now, and Turtle can prevent your Bujin monsters from being targeted. 2 Bujingi Hare, so that you can keep your Bujins on the field. 1 Bujingi Quilin, because you can pop a card. 3 Bujingi Crane, because hand traps for days, am I right? 1 Bujingi Sinyou, because graveyard traps for days, I guess. And 2 Honest, because hand traps for days. As you can probably tell at this point, anything that's not a Beast Warrior in this deck has an emphasis on keeping the Beast Warriors alive, and that's how Bujins work. So the monsters went by pretty quickly, so let's go into the spells. 2 Bujincarnation. Basically, you put a lot of resources into keeping 1 monster alive in this deck, or 2, however you're playing it. And if that doesn't work out, you can play Bujincarnation, and then you should be set up for at least an Xyz play, because everything's level 4 in this deck. So if you're summoning 2 monsters, you should be able to get set up for an Xyz play. It could be a very good recovery tool, but I only play it at 2. 3 Fire Formation Tenki, because that means you can search for any of the Beast Warriors in this deck. Normally on my first turn, if I don't have Yamato, I would activate Tenki and search for Yamato. But if I do, I would probably search for Hirume for next turn. But it depends on what you're doing. 2 Kaiser Coliseum. This card allows you to basically protect the castle with 1 monster. It forces your opponent to have 1 monster and 1-on-1 with yours. And 9 times out of 10 in this deck, with the amount of protection you have, even if they summon a good monster, you'll be able to get over it the next turn anyway. 3 Pot of Duality. And this is, like I said, for consistency in the deck. You really want that Yamato on your first turn. 2 Galaxy Cyclone, which is for spell and trap removal. 1 Raigeki and 1 Foolish Burial, which are both staples in Bujin decks. Foolish Burial can get your graveyard traps to the grave. That's it for the spells. Now let's move on to the 4 traps. We have 1 Bujin Regalia, the Sword. This is basically how you replenish your resources. You can get a hand trap in the graveyard back to your hand, or a card that you banish from the graveyard back to the graveyard. 1 Bottomless Crap Hole. 1 Vanity's Emptiness. That way, if you have a good board already set up, you can pretty much stop your opponent from setting up a good board in response. 1 Solemn Warning, because Solemn Warning is good. Into the extra deck, 3 Bujintei Susanowo. I think this is the best Bujin Xyz monster. Not only can it attack all of your opponent's monsters once per turn, which is helpful, but it can also use its effect to add a Bujin monster from your deck to your hand or the graveyard. Now that could be a Bujin Beast Warrior in case you want to go for Hiruko maybe, and then go for Amaterasu. Or you could use it to increase your protection. So you could add a Crane to your hand or send a Turtle to the graveyard. This is basically the first card you want to go into when it comes to Xyz monsters, unless there's a certain situation that calls for you going for something else. 1 Bujintei Kagutsuchi. This card can keep itself alive for quite a while by using its effect, and it can also mill a lot of cards to the graveyard, which is where cards like Galaxy Cyclone would also benefit. And 2 Amaterasu. This is the card that you usually go into with Hiruko's effect. You could probably make it fairly easily in this deck, but there's really no point in wasting that amount of resources. 1 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Tiger King. This allows you to get your Tenki onto the field, and also it has great synergy with Beast Warriors, obviously. 1 Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon. 1 Utopia. 1 Utopia the Lightning. 1 Ragnazero. 1 Castel. 1 Gagaga Cowboy, and 1 Abyss Dweller. That's pretty much all for the rank 4 staples. Like I said, all the monsters in here are rank 4, or level 4, so you really won't need anything else. And that's pretty much it for Bujins. Bujins are a pretty simple archetype. They're good for beginners, I would say, because they're very linear, and it makes sense. You want to keep your strong monsters on the field any way you can. So I hope you guys enjoyed this new deck profile. This one was a little bit shorter, I feel, and that might have been just because it was a easier to explain deck. But let me know if you guys have tried this deck out. Especially let me know what you think about Bujin Hiruko. Do you think it'll change anything in the way Bujin decks are played? Do you think this Xyz Turbo variant might be more of the standard for them? Let me know what you guys think. Comment and leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe for even more. I'll see you guys next time.